listening to the Hult Center Podcast, and today I am speaking with Daniel from TAE and the Neighborly. And TAE and the Neighborly are going to be here at the Hult Center on Saturday, November 9th for our 10 for 10 series, where every ticket is just $10. Thanks for joining me, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we had you guys scheduled here last year, but then something came up. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I can tell you a little bit about that. I presume it has something to do with, you know what? I'm actually not sure on the timeline. Is that when a baby happened?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. One of the members of our bands had a baby, and it was TAE. And you know, sometimes that happens, and we're rolling with it. And now we will be rolling in to the 10 for 10 series with one extra person in tow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is that fun, or does it bring some challenges?
I mean, of course it brings challenges, but we are hardly the first bunch of musicians in the world that's ever had a baby in the band. So
sure.
We're rolling with it, and you know, there's lots of community help that's coming through, and family members coming along to help. We're all figuring it out as well, but we have successfully done a couple runs with Lil Louie, and so far he likes being on the road more than he likes being at home, I think.
That's great.
I think I can relate to that sometimes.
Yeah, totally. So this is a big year for you guys. Let's talk about your new full-length album, Self-Help, and how it came to be. Yeah.
Self-Help was super fun to make. It's it's a collection of songs that came from just sort of the way that we were playing shows when we first started. We were a band that came together during the COVID times, and you know, there's a list of things that everyone was dealing with during COVID times. And for us, it meant, you know, we wanted to play music. We had everything there to do it, but playing shows was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up having lots of time where we would set up in this cool space and jam and just play and play and play. And without us ever necessarily setting out to do such a thing, we found this sound that's, I mean, we're definitely not what I would call a jam band, but we found this sound that was somewhere in between jamming and pop music and soul music. And through all this time of, oh, we wish we had a show to play, I guess we're going to rehearse again, hashing it out, the sound of Self-Help was born.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it sounds really good. Did you guys do this all yourself, or?
We did it ourselves in the sense that we ran out of a recording studio and let her rip. We worked with a really great producer / engineer, Kevin Israel, up in Minneapolis at the studio we made it at. But it really was just us sort of stumbling in and doing our best to figure out how do we take these songs that feel so good live and smush them into the box that is a recording, because certainly things that work live don't always work well in recordings and vice versa. So, you know, it was another journey there, learning how to get all that stuff working. And I think we struck a fun balance between like real instrumentalism and actual people playing real instruments, and obviously TAE singing on top of everything, and also working in studio magic and all the little bleeps and bloops and things that you get away with in studio settings that you totally cannot get away with live. This is so much fun to do, and every time we're playing a show, there's a part of my brain that's thinking, oh gosh, I wish we could have brought that weird little bleepy bloopy doodad to this one part, but we can't be the band that rolls up and, all right, so we have 75 inputs. Can't do that. So, you know, it's always a balance.
Totally. Well, it sounds great. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Excited for people to to hear this stuff live. Do you have a favorite track personally?
Favorite track personally, I really, really like how the song Missing You came together in the recording.
I was going to say that.
Oh, really?
that was my favorite track too.
Jinx, bud.
Yeah.
I'm just calling 'cause you've been on my mind. If you were still here, I would've just dropped on by. I don't know if you'll get this, or if it's best you didn't. I thought I'd give it a try. I'm just calling 'cause you've been on my mind.
Yeah, Missing You came together really well. Of all the songs that made it onto the record, Missing You definitely made the most chaos in the studio. It was changed a huge amount from the way it showed up on the record to the way that we had been doing it live.
Okay.
And I'm going to forget the exact number, but we made the record over 4-ish sessions going into the studio. And man, every time we went in and tried to do Missing You, it was like banging our heads up against the wall. It's like, something's not working right. Why does this feel good when we play it, but it doesn't sound good when we play it back? And finally, it was after the last session, it was when most of the recording was done at a professional studio, but as with most records, there's all sorts of little things after the fact that we work on in our home studios. And that one came together in home studio setting afterwards. And I think we're all really happy with how it worked out. It's definitely full of studio synth magic noises.
Yeah, like the first half of it is definitely like synth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was, working away in Ableton at home and figuring out what works. And we were still able to find a way to move all of those fun synth noises and as much of pedal steel and all the cool spacey stuff into the full band vibe, which is what we were trying to get to all along. Mm-hmm. So it feels like a victory of both fronts, studio stuff and still getting the live feel in there.
Nice. Is there a favorite to play live?
Oh, that's self-help. No question. Definitely self-help. Oh yeah. Okay. It's the title track for a reason. Yeah. They're about whatever it is, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the song. There's a shift where it changes. I think it changes time signatures or changes tempo, whatever it is. The vibe changes. Mm-hmm. And we usually play it pretty late in the set when energy is up. And oh man, when that shift happens, you always feel this rush of energy from the crowd. People are always dancing when that happens. And it's just such a uplifting vibe and feeling. It's always a great moment in the set.
Nice. So people can expect to be moving around for this concert.
Absolutely. We got some fun songs to move your feet to. It's live music. You gotta have fun with it.
Yeah. What challenges other than touring with a baby do you guys have, or what things do you absolutely love about touring?
Challenges and things that we love about touring. Sometimes those two are the same thing. It is a very long tour that we're going on. We are based in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is a town that pretty much everyone in America has at least heard of. I wonder why. And, there's a lot of distance between Green Bay and the West Coast, and it's a big country. So, there's always challenges hauling ourselves around in the van. There's definitely some making the journey the destination mindset that turns drive days into fun days, and seeing the country out of the windshield of a 15-passenger van is something a lot of musicians have talked about, and it gives you a lot of perspective on just where we are, the people in the country. It feels good to really sink your teeth into the road and,
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah. It's we have a big country, and it's so diverse. I mean, from the cultures, from state to state, from the natural beauty. It's I wish more people got to see it,
Yeah, I feel the same way. You actually, doing the drives and seeing the people at the truck stops and at the hotels and at the restaurants gives you so much perspective on what's going on out there.
Yeah, totally. Is there, as a band, are there things that you guys like to do other than play when you're on the road? Does everyone like, Mexican food, or is like guilty pleasures that you guys all share?
Well, we definitely fight about Chipotle.
Oh.
I won't say who's who. Half the band loves Chipotle, half the band hates Chipotle. So I think that's probably the biggest source of conflict in our band is, do we go to Chipotle or not?
Yeah, or Baja Fresh.
Or Baja Fresh, or whatever the local flavor is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, if that's the biggest problem, you guys get along great then.
Oh yeah, we get along great. Unless we're talking about Chipotle, and then half of us are wrong.
I feel like that's 50% of the population, regardless if you're in a band or not, though. I'm on the not Chipotle side.
Well, there you go. It just keeps stacking up.
Yep. What's the vibe like? Are you guys nervous collectively until halfway through that first song, or?
Oh no, I don't think we've been nervous as a band for. I don't know if we've ever felt nervous as a band. We, so much goes into shows and thinking about the songs and just the whole cloud of stuff you got to do. Mm-hmm. By the time a show is actually there, and there's the penultimate moment that I think a lot of people think about, where you're there standing as the band right side stage and you're about to go on, and like, that is the moment that I think a lot of people think about as the moment where you'd be like, the nerves are highest. It's, what are we gonna do? How's it gonna go? What's gonna happen? It always feels like an arrival. It feels like in like an exhale moment to us. I think, like, okay, finally all the stuff is done. We're here. We get to do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we always like to do a little ritual right there side stage. We call it, I guess we don't even call it anything. Maybe we call it cinnamon bunning, cinnamon rolling. I guess it's sort of a secret handshake sort of thing.
Cool.
And that if there was any weird vibes, the cinnamon bun moment brings it all together. And then it's just time to rock and roll.
That's awesome. Now, a little bit about you. Do you have a favorite band or musician that kind of made you want to be a musician?
Oh boy, well, I've been playing music my whole life. I am from a family of musicians. Specifically, is my mom what definitely was the source of all this. She's a harpist.
Oh.
And ever since I was old enough to be big enough to help her move the harp in and out of the station wagon, I was going with her to, whatever harp stuff she was doing, whether it's weddings or symphony things or, whatever. So that was my start in the world of music. And she is like hard classical music. If you asked her to play Happy Birthday, I don't think she could do it unless the sheet music to Happy Birthday was in front of her.
Sure.
And just because of that, there's a whole different universe of how she thinks about music. And I mean, not just her, but everyone in the world of classical music, how she thinks about music and how she listens to music and what music is on at the house. And so I didn't know this at the time, but there is a group of musicians that really, really heavily influenced me in how I play. Is a record label. It's called Windham Hill. There's a couple people that are sort of at the center of it, but there's lots of fun fringe players too. There's William Ackerman, George Winston, a piano player, Alex DeGrassi, and they're people that just play an instrument and that's it. There's no singing. Sometimes there's group stuff, but the best stuff they do is always just a person playing an instrument. That's it.
My dad definitely has some Windham Hill CDs at home
right
still.
On.
Yeah.
Yep. I bet you've heard a lot of the same stuff I have. There's a George Winston album called Summer that's really great. All the Will Ackerman stuff is really fun. Some of it gets real weird real quick. Like there's some fretless bass, and there's one of the guys plays some instrument. It's sort of like a proto MIDI flute thing.
Oh.
I'm somewhere in my brain I know what it's called, but I'm forgetting in this moment. It's this just completely insane contraption that someone came up with where you blow into a mouthpiece and there's a sensor that tells how hard you're blowing. And then the sensor is attached to a light bulb. And the harder you blow, the brighter the light bulb glows. And then there's an optical sensor that looks at the light bulb. And the brighter the light bulb, the stronger of a signal it produces. And somehow this like Rube Goldberg contraption of human input and light bulbs and sensors produces a flute sound. And it's like, I love weird instruments, and it's just so much fun to listen to this crazy thing.
Yeah, fiber optic flute, huh?
Yeah, and from the 1970s. It's wild that it actually all came together, and and a playable musical instrument came out of that.
Yeah.
But I always find myself thinking about these Windham Hill players and the ways that they can pull so much out of just an instrument. And certainly the ways that I like to play, in the ways that I like to play and get these sounds, those Windham Hill things are always floating somewhere in the back of my head.
Interesting. And is there a rock album that you start to finish is just influential or you need it in your life?
I think the closest to a rock album that is a start to finish, all bangers, no skips, is the Manchester Orchestra, Everything to Nothing. I think that's the name of the record, right? I'm going to sound like a dummy if I say the name of the record wrong, but I'm pretty sure the record is called Everything to Nothing. I mean, they have tons of great records. They're a really, really great band.
Yeah.
But I'll play that one start to finish. I think Bon Iver stuff, I don't know if that qualifies as rock and roll, but pretty much every Bon Iver record is all bangers, no skips for me. Nice. I'll play those all the time. Maggie Rogers, Heard It in a Past Life. That's all bangers, no skips.
Cool. Well, there's some new tunes there for people who aren't familiar with some of those records. It's only $10 on Saturday, November 9th at 8 o'clock at the Hult Center, TAE and the Neighborly. They're going to rock out and have a good time.
That's right.
Don't need to ask permission from anybody but yourself. A little guidance of self-help. Go